Douglas Limon, enrolled member of the Oneida Nation and a descendant of the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe, has been creating authentic Native American art for 53 years. He is a co-founder and former chairman of the Minnesota American Indian Chamber of Commerce, established in 1986 to expand the economic opportunities for American Indian entrepreneurs. Doug is married with 4 children and lives in White Bear Lake, Minnesota. The First Peoples Fund has recognized him with the 2014 Jennifer Easton Community Spirit Award. Please welcome Douglas.
Bonjour. Niji, he wanted me to say Niji was his friend. My father taught me when I was young that you'd always, who is from Leech Lake, my mother's from Oneida, that you would always greet somebody by saying hello friend, because you would assume that you're friends. And there is no word for goodbye. It's Gigawabim and Menalo, where you'd say, see you again soon. So I'm going to read about the Cradleboard project that's in there. And the Cradleboard project, the Cradleboard is, in Ojibwe called a dikinoggin, what the mother would wear on her back. I'm sure you're maybe familiar somewhat. It's very healthy for the child. The child is standing up. It strengthens the child's leg muscles, back muscles, and neck muscles. And children in cradleboards typically walk before children that aren't in cradleboards. The other thing is that because they're at, well, it's a bonding experience with the mother and child because the baby's already used to that motion from the mother, and the baby swaddle when the baby's put into the cradleboard. So it's very comforting. It's a bonding experience that continues after the birth of the child between the mother and the child. The American Pediatric Association had made a statement that the Native Americans probably invented the back to sleep program thousands of years ago with the cradleboard. So I'm going to go ahead and read this now, the story about how I got this, the cradleboard project going, which was a result from Gavino being in the cradleboard. Okay, my art medium is beadwork. I learned to bead the traditional way at age 5 when my mother taught me to bead on a loom. I eventually taught myself the applique method, beading directly onto textiles and art paper. My work has evolved from traditional, functional beadwork, like headbands, belts, bags, and moccasins, to a more contemporary style. My signature beadwork design is a turtle with a unique piece for the shell. Through the use of various contemporary materials, I create one-of-a-kind pieces. I bead directly onto art paper. The finished work is matted, framed, and ready to hang. 6 years ago, I made my first cradleboard, or dikinoggin. This new direction was inspired by the birth of my youngest son, Gavino. My wife, Rachel, and I wanted to raise him in a dikinoggin, and I could not find someone in Minnesota, however, to teach me how to make a traditional Anishinaabe dikinoggin. Then I went to an art show in Saginaw, Michigan, and I met Judy Pamp of the Saginaw Chippewa tribe. She took the time to teach my wife and me how to make one. My dikinoggin is a traditional Anishinaabe style with the exception of the beaded inlay in the background. The beadwork, 10 inches in diameter, is made with size 11 glass beads. It took 140 hours of beading time to complete Gavino's dikinoggin beadwork. My wife and I started the Cradleboard project, and we have a Facebook page, the Cradleboard project, and we post when the cradleboards will be on display and where. The Cradleboard project, we started the Cradleboard project to pass the knowledge on to our community, and we have been asked to teach a class on making dikinoggins at the Leech Lake Tribal College. I teach beadwork in my home and at the White Bear Lake Center for the Arts. I also received the Minnesota State Arts Board grant to create the 4 dikinoggins. The theme of this beadwork design is the 4 seasons, and each beadwork design has a special meaning. The autumn maple leaf is a tribute to Judy Pamp and the Saginaw Chippewa Indian tribe for teaching me how to make the dikinoggin. The winter cardinal has personal significance to me because my father used to say he will return as a cardinal to watch over us. The spring monarch butterfly was chosen to shed light on the alarming decline on the monarch butterfly population. This decline is due to the loss of habitat on the monarch migration route. Monarchs lay their eggs on milkweed, and patches of the plant have rapidly disappeared. My message to everyone is to plant milkweed wherever you can. Finally, the summer blue crane. When I decided to do a crane for the summer season, I was undecided on what color to make the crane, and I thought about it for weeks. My son Gavino, age 4 at the time, insisted the crane should be blue. I heard him, but I wasn't listening. When I completed all the beading I could before starting on the crane, Gavino repeated, "Make the crane blue." So I asked him, "Why do you want me to make the crane blue?" Expecting him to say, "Because it's my favorite color," he surprised me and he said, "Because that's the color of the crane I had in my dream." That convinced me. I took Gavino to the store and let him pick out the right color blue. And that is why the summer crane is blue. The Cradleboard project has provided an opportunity to educate both native and non-native people about the Diki Noggin. This Diki Noggin is not in use as often as it once was because of boarding schools and assimilation policies that forcibly removed Anishinaabe children from their homes and denied them their cultural education. My hope is that a tradition benefiting the growth and development of our babies will survive and prosper as it once did. And here's a picture of the 4 cradle boards. They're 36 inches long and about 12 inches wide. And the beadwork on there, it's 10 inches in diameter. And I didn't keep track of my time beading those pieces, but I did on Gavino's, and it was 140 hours on Gavino's. But I didn't want to keep track of that because I thought, whoa, that might not be a good idea. But that's the cradle boards. Thank you very much. Yes.
What typically passed from generation to generation?
Yeah, a lot of times they would make them and pass them on, and other children would use them, or grandchildren. And then once you're done with them, what you're supposed to do, you take the beadwork and any embellishments that you have on them, you can take them off, and then you're supposed to take them back out into the woods and hang them on a tree, because that's where you got it from. I've learned a lot of things about the cradle board since we started this project, and one of the things that I also learned is that I use cedar for the backboard because it's strong but lightweight, and then white oak to bend for the head bow, and then there's a foot support underneath the bag that you can't see, and that's where the baby can strengthen their legs. That's white oak because it's easy to bend. But what they would typically do with the cedar is that they would take the cedar board off of a living tree, because the thought behind it is that if the tree is still living, the strength of that board and the spirit of that board will be strong as long as that tree is alive. And that's the same thing same kind of philosophy for spirit masks that they did that way too. They would make a spirit mask that way. Yeah. Oh, here's Gavino's cradle board. It's at the Science Museum. It'll be on display there, I think, for like another year. And that's the piece that I kept track of. Thank you. Thank you.